Hello, 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 everyone. An impromptu Facebook Live. Hi, I'm Dorcy Pruter, the CEO and founder of the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute. And I wanted to come to you live on Parental Alienation Awareness Day. And I want to talk a little bit about this day. This Parental Alienation Awareness Day was actually created in 2005 by a woman out of Canada by the name of Sarvi Emo. I think she pronounces it Emo. And it was created at a time in our lives that parents were genuinely suffering, just like you are now. And there really wasn't an operational definition of what was happening. And you guys have heard Dr. Childress talk about the Gardnerians. There was a subset of people that were experts in this form of child psychological abuse called parental alienation. And people really weren't understanding what it was. The court system doesn't understand. Families are struggling. You're struggling. Kids are struggling. And for the last 45 years, there hasn't really been a real solution for this family dynamic. So in 2005, Sarvi created this Parental Alienation Awareness Day. It was actually used to be, I believe, March 28th. And now it's really celebrated on April 25th, if you want to call it a celebration. And it was created by advocates, right? Parents just like you who were suffering and wanting a solution and wanted to bring awareness to the family court and to the mental health community. And it was really, really important that we have that. And at that time, that was the only verbiage that we had, was this thing called parental alienation, or parental alienation syndrome, if you will. And times have changed. Dr. Childress really came on the scene. He had his first kid that was being alienated from a parent in 2008. He didn't really understand what this was. He started to go down the rabbit hole. He looked at Richard Gardner's framework or theory, and he was like, this is garbage. We can actually define what's actually happening with this family with the already accepted constructs in psychology. And he went on another path. And we were both trekking along in our spaces in our chosen profession. I really understood parental alienation, much like most of you did, in really the only thing that was out there. I understood from my own perspective as a child, and my perspective as a parent and as a step parent. And when I started to collaborate with Dr. Childress in 2013, I was already using proper language like personality disorders, and we were tagging data based on personality disorders and things that were already identified in the DSM. But Dr. Childress really brought forward something that was pretty profound: an actual accessible diagnosis, right? An assessment process that actually assesses a pathology that's happening in your family. And what he's taken us is out of the wilderness, you've heard him talk about this, and into reality of what's actually happening with your family. And more importantly, then what do we do about it? So assessment leads to diagnosis, leads to treatment. And while we can honor the people that were change agents and way seers back in the day of really understanding or looking to understand this family dynamic and coining the phrase parental alienation, we're in a new place now as a society. We're in a place of understanding that we don't need to use the language or the term parental alienation, because using that in family court or even in the mental health community is not providing a solution for you. So I really believe that my purpose here in this space is to really empower you, the chosen parent, to shift you from being in your victim mindset, being victimized, into your chosen parent mindset, your empowered mind, in the mindset of actually taking proactive action. So Parental Alienation Awareness Day was created from advocacy. And advocacy is really important because it creates awareness. And so advocates do something very different than we do. They bring and spread and share awareness. They raise the level of consciousness in society to understand that there's a problem, something's going on. Advocacy is really, really critical and important because we need it for people to be aware, right? Aware that there's a problem. Now that there's an awareness, we need to shift into really the solution. And the solution isn't using parental alienation. And today we should all be focusing on Chosen Parent Awareness Day. You are the chosen parent. And what I mean by that is you are the parent the child is choosing, not to reject, but to elevate, to step into your power, to step into your purpose-driven path as a chosen parent, to create the soft place to land for your children, to raise your child's awareness and to shift how you're showing up so that they can shift how they're showing up. We posted something in the Alliance today, a little survey, and it was really fascinating to see a lot of the comments. And I decided to come live here with you guys today because I want to talk to you about the variety of different comments I'm seeing from parents. And I want to say this. You're the parent. You're always the parent. You're always mom and dad, always. It doesn't matter if the other parent gets remarried. It doesn't matter if you're remarried. You're always mom and you're always dad. That's it. There's never going to be a new mom or a new dad. And so children love both parents and they want to be loved by both parents, even when they're in protest. And the comments that I've been seeing today, some are phenomenal. Some people have been told, there's a guy, Mark, in the comments who said, one of his friends said, I'm just a hired gun. Dorcy's just a hired gun, an expensive hired gun, blah, blah, blah. And he decided to consume all of the free content I have out there. And there is a lot. I've put out a lot of content for you guys. And he implemented the things that I've been talking to you guys about all the time. He implemented the free content and he's recovering his children. And he's had 2 really great weekends with his kids. Good on you, Mark. Congratulations. What a way to celebrate today. Chosen Parent today. Chosen Parent Awareness Day. You took the opportunity, you consumed the content, and you implemented. So good on you, my friend. One of the things I say to people all the time is you can listen to me, you can read books, you can do all of those things. But if you don't implement what I'm talking about, do the work, and I'm not talking about one time, I'm talking about consistently doing it over and over and over again, then you're going to recover your children. It's up to you. Your children don't care about me or Dr. Childress or the Gardnerians or anyone. They care about you. And they are looking to you to lead their family. You are the leader of your family. You're the chosen parent. You're the parent they're choosing to lead the family out of the pathology. It's up to you. It's not up to the family court system or the mental health providers. They're failing you. They're either going down the narrative of parental alienation, which solves nothing, or they're saying parental alienation doesn't exist, which ignores the pathology, also solves nothing. You're relying on third parties, you're relying on judges who don't care about your family and lawyers and mental health providers. You're relying on people who don't live in your house, that maybe say they care about your family, and maybe some of them do, but ultimately they have their own families and they're just getting paid to do a job. They're not going to do the work. They don't have a vested interest in your family like you do. And your child wants you to do the work, that your child wants you to lead them out. So some of the comments I'm seeing are, it can't work until you have an upheaval in the family court system. You can't do this, or I can't do that, or I've got to wait for my kid. My kid needs to take responsibility. They need to show up differently. It's joint. It's got to be both of us. And that is true. That is true for you. If that is what you believe, that is what you will manifest. That's true. If you believe something different, if you shift how you show up, you shift what you're thinking about, you start focusing on what you want, you will shift that too. And then your belief system will change. But if you believe I can't and it won't work and the cord is broken and it has to be, nothing will work until that's fixed, nothing will work until my kid realizes what's going on, nada will work, then that's true for you. And that is what you will manifest. And I guarantee you that you have been manifesting that. And so you're creating your own experience. So if you believe that, that is true. If you want to believe something different, if you think, wow, what is Dorcy talking about? Is there a different way? I'm here to tell you that there is. you can shift how you're showing up. And it starts with you. It starts with your mindset. It starts with how you show up, what you're doing. And it starts with what you're thinking. If you're thinking it won't work, then it won't work. That's a fixed mindset. Okay. If you're thinking, maybe this could work, or is it possible, or you're seeing that people are implementing what I'm teaching in these videos that I put out and it's working, then you're shifting how you're showing up by starting to shift how you're thinking. Oh, maybe there is a different way. One of the things I say a lot in the Chosen Parent, so happy Chosen Parent Awareness Day. Welcome. Welcome to a new level of awareness. Welcome home. Welcome to your new leadership role. Welcome to an awakening that your children have been waiting for. They've been waiting for you to realize, to remember who you are, your authentic self, the authentic chosen parent, the authentic, unconditionally loving parent. Show up that way. You can say that you're that, but if you're not doing the work, then that's just words. So you have to do the work. You actually have to be unconditionally loving. You can't wait around for your children to come around someday, right? They probably won't. And if they do, they're going to be angry that you didn't do the work because you're the parent. They expect you to be the parent. They expect you to lead them. Okay. So it's hard until it isn't. And then you realize it's actually easy. And that oftentimes, most of the time, you're the one blocking. You're the one creating your own story. It's your story. You take you wherever you go. So when you show up differently, your children will start to experience you differently. If you show up in defense and you show up needing to be right, you show up combative with your kids, pleading and begging and then convince and resist dance, they're not going to fold in. They need to know that you are happy, that you're healthy, that you're whole, that you're safe, that you've created the soft place for them to land, that you're easy to be around. The other parent is pathogenic. They're spinny, right? They're really hard for your child to be around. And so they're having to manage up. They're having to parent up. And that's a lot of work for a kid whose brain isn't fully developed. And so if they have to come over here and they have to do that with you, that's too hard. It's too much. When they're with you, they want it to be easy, even when they're being turds, even when they're being mean, even when they're being rude and disrespectful and all of those things, even when they're showing up like that. That's the imprinting of the pathology. And you can either reinforce the pathology in the child by demanding respect and those things, or you can open up your beautiful smell good liner trash can and let them empty their garbage. And then you take the garbage out. I say this over and over and over again. I feel like a broken record sometimes, but it's true. It's really, really true. The more you do that for your children, the easier you make for them to be in relationship with you, the more they will fold back in with you. Okay? When you start to, stand and protest yourself or demand respect, or I'm your parent, you'll listen to me, then they will resist that. They will push back in a power struggle with you. So when they're pushing, you fold this way or that way, right? Or you open up the can and you let them put it in. You don't push back. When you push back, you create a power struggle, okay? And then you're in a convince and resist dance, and nobody wins that. It's just frustrating. When you power struggle with your children, it's really, really annoying, especially with kids who you're experiencing emotional cutoff from or with, okay? So happy Chosen Parent Awareness Day. Parental Alienation Awareness Day. Let this be the last time that we use that terminology. That is no longer the proper terminology. It was important when it was created in 2005. And I really appreciate Sarvi and the work that she's done to bring awareness into the space and into family court and into the mental health community. However, it doesn't bring a solution. It only brought awareness, which is what's important. We need to have awareness in order to actually solve things. But we've moved away from the terminology of parental alienation. So it's no longer Parental Alienation Awareness Day. It's now Chosen Parent Awareness Day. And that doesn't mean we now need to become aware that we're a chosen parent. We already know. It's raising our awareness as the chosen parent to shift how you're showing up. So for those of you that are naysaying in the alliance and you're really struggling in your trauma, you're really having a hard time, I really encourage you to watch some of our free content. We have a really great free video with a download called Tame the Pain, dealing with the emotional trauma of a cutoff or a betrayal from this pathology. Take their class, do the work. That's where you start to open up your heart chakra. You start to move past the container of trauma and into the container of healing so that you can create that space for your kids. If you're spinning in your stuff, your kids are going to spin too. They're going to be spinning and they're going to come to you. And if you're spinning, there's no place for them to drop the spinner, to get rid of the hot potato. So they're just hot and they're trying to get rid of the hot potato. It's up to you, the chosen parent. So today I want to shift our mindset from parental alienation awareness. We got it. We know what that is. Into understanding that we're dealing with an emotional cutoff, that we're dealing with children who are being psychologically abused. We're dealing with a family dynamic, a mental health crisis in your family. And we need to move away from looking out here, thinking that these people out here are going to fix things that you can actually fix in here, in your family. You're the leader. Dr. Childress, me, the mental health providers, the lawyers, that we're just weapons, right? We're on the battlefield with you for the recovery of your children, but ultimately you are on the front line. You're the one. You're the chosen parent. You're the leader. You're the leader of the recovery of your family. You know, it wasn't that long ago, probably 5 years ago, that I didn't really even realize that myself, that I was still unaware or unconscious about your role really deeply, right? Really from an understanding of, holy crap, well, it's probably 9 years ago now that I think it was from 2013, that you're in charge, and that this all changes when you realize you're the chosen parent, when you realize you're in charge, that you have all the power, that you have all the tools. You've got to look within and you've got to create that space. If you're waiting for your children to come around, they may come around, but it might not be when you expect, and it might not be how you expect. So why not create the space and the leadership and demonstrate to them how to be in the space of unconditional love, how to be the soft place to land. Shift how you're showing up. Your children will feel it. They will know because they're connected to you always. The bonds between a parent and a child they're never broken. Okay, never. They get tucked below the surface, right, for safekeeping. That's where they are. They're way down here below the surface. But when you start bringing it up and you start visualizing your heart chakra with this golden cord of unconditional love anchored into their heart chakra, and just pumping your unconditional love through that heart chakra, through that beautiful cord to theirs, you realize it's still there. Visualize it. Hold that space for your kids. Create the soft place for your children to land by making it easy for them to be in relationship with you. I'll leave with this ninja tool. I talk about this all the time, but put a moratorium on the past. All this stuff that's coming up that's real or imagined or kernels of truth and all that stuff, put that in a beautiful box, put a big, beautiful bow on it, and send it down the river. Free your children from having to be entangled in the pathology, entangled in the delusions, entangled in the story, the past. Be present and moving forward. So happy Chosen Parent Awareness Day. Raise your awareness so that your children can raise their awareness, so that they can raise in their authentic self. They can move into exposing the authenticity of who they are. They're just hiding right now on the pathology. So when you show up authentically, happy, healthy, and whole, and they know you're okay, you're the safe place, the soft, beautiful place for your children to land. So for those of you who are still experiencing an emotional cutoff with your children, we're holding you in grace, in unconditional love, in our big bubble, in this big love hug that we're holding you in this space of grace and ease as you move into this new awareness of your role as the chosen parent. We're super excited that you're here, that you found us, that you're in the Alliance, and wherever you're watching this video, on our YouTube, maybe you're watching it on our Instagram, wherever you're watching this, I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that as you're listening to the message of the chosen parent, you really see how special you are, and you're feeling your authenticity rise back up in you. So happy chosen parent. Happy Chosen Parent Awareness Day. Welcome. I love you guys so much. I hope you have an awesome day. And remember, you have to have peace in so you can have peace out, holding you in the highest vibration of love. Have an awesome day, everyone. Peace out.